Okay, now that we've started talking about process selection, the last one about process capability, we went through all the different considerations and dimensions along which processes can be capable of meeting different needs for the part design. So during our working session, we're going to see, I'll give you this part, actually the one that's up on the screen now, and I'll basically just ask you to pick one of those 5 processes and make a case for it. Tell me when that is the most likely process to choose, and I'll kind of randomly assign those during the working session. So we'll take a little time, just 5 quick short sessions to go over each of those processes so you have a sense of it. First one is casting. And as it says on the notes, rule of thumb is to start with a net shape process. Casting is a net shape process. We put it on the board, or on the notes here, a net shape process. What is a net shape process? It's really 2 things. First off, it's got to have little secondary processing as possible. So we'll say 1. As little secondary processing as possible. And secondly, it's got to have as little waste as possible. So that means that we just make it in one shot. So as soon as it's done with that process, we don't have to go do a lot of grinding and finishing and any other treatments. It's just pretty much done after that one shot. That's the first point. And then the second one is that we don't have a lot of waste. We're not cutting away a lot of material. Pretty much everything that goes into it to start comes out as the part. So that's a net shape process if it satisfies those 2. And casting is definitely a net shape process. So what else is true about casting? Really, for all the processes, we can talk about these things. Production volume, size and features, tolerances, quality, etc. We'll go through all these. So for tolerances, for casting, production volume, well, in fact, for all of these, casting is kind of varies quite a bit. We can take die casting kind of on one end of the spectrum, and maybe sand casting on the other end of the spectrum. There's a few different types of casting that kind of fall in between, but let's just talk about those. For die casting, you need a hard, solid metal die and with the cavity cut out. It takes a lot of investment. The equipment is kind of significant, so you have to invest in the equipment too. So really, we'd want a high production volume for die casting. We can pretty much make intricate features with that, but the size usually is pretty small because it's an expensive die. We can't really make it too big usually. It has great tolerances. It can really make a nice quality part, great surface finish, but the lead time is pretty long. It's a hard die. It's going to take weeks, probably months, to really get that die up and designed and produced and ready to start running parts. It's going to be a long time before we see that first one. We can't use any metal. Because the mold is made out of metal, we've got to cast metals that have a lower melting temperature, so it's kind of restricted to what kind of metal you want. We do, within a particular low melting temperature metal, though, we do get a pretty good strength out of it. Selling price, probably not too many limitations. You can sell pretty cheap parts that are die cast. And as I said, about any shape you can produce. Production location, it's not a real high labor intensive process because it's fairly automated. So even if this were located in Los Angeles, where we're pretty much paying high labor rates, we could probably do it. We could do some die casting. And then the production rate is pretty fast. When you die cast, you're getting a part out every few seconds or so. So it's pretty quick if that's what's needed. On the whole other hand, in sand casting, you could have a big sand mold, and it also takes some effort to get that sand mold produced. And it could be a bit of an investment to get that the whole mold designed and ready. So it probably is a high production volume too. Some of the other here are in more contrast, but production volume usually is high, but not as high as die casting. It could be even a medium, even a lower volume of sand casting. You could imagine if you rapid prototype a plastic pattern and press that into a sand, you could make a mold and a part fairly quickly. You can even just make a small volume, just a few of them, even just one if you used a rapid prototype pattern tool. So sand casting really can vary on the volume. You can make quite large parts with sand casting. The features could be fairly complicated, although that does definitely make a more complex and more expensive mold, but really bad tolerances. Sand casting is among the worst, plus or minus 50 thousandths. You really it's hard to hold a good quality dimension with that. Surface finish, pretty bad. Also some of the worst in sand casting. So again, lead time, yeah, there's probably going to have to be a fair amount of design and effort that goes into making that mold. Unless, again, you're working off a rapid prototyped pattern. So it's kind of a special case that pushes the boundary with sand casting a little bit. Particular metals, well, you can sand cast most metals because the sand itself doesn't really melt. So you can go up and sand cast steels even and really some higher melting temperature materials. But the strength you get out, it's not as great. There's a lot of porosity and it tends to be a little more brittle because of the air that comes in during sand casting. So not a really strong metal for the metal that you use. Selling price, not a real limitation. Production location, sand casting is a pretty labor-intensive process. And it's kind of hard to automate. So if we're doing this in California here, it might be pretty expensive. That might be something we might try to do somewhere else and where labor is a little cheaper because it's pretty labor-intensive. And it's really not very fast. You probably want to really make sure you've got all the expertise available and the equipment available if you really had to get a lot of production rate, a lot of parts out quickly by sand casting. It would be tricky. Some of the others, shell casting, investment casting, kind of fall somewhere in the middle there. So casting is a little bit tough. It kind of depends on the materials you need, the shape, and the size. But that's at least a general start for sand casting. All right? So we'll get into some of the other processes next.